In 2024, the United States military has mentioned the use of distributed ledger technology in several contexts, primarily focusing on enhancing logistics and securing data. The U.S. military, along with other global forces, is exploring the use of distributed ledger technology to improve military supply chains. This includes applications in inventory management, quality assurance, and additive manufacturing. Although these technologies are not yet, quote, combat ready, unquote, they are seen as promising for defense logistics, with data protection as a secondary objective. Now, I showed before that a lot of these private companies, once they're very big, and they have some power, they typically will work with the government or military. They typically will acquire governmental or military contracts. I think that's very possible for a lot of these bank coins. So we're going to jump to number 3 here, Department of Defense Logistics. The DoD is considering the integration of distributed ledger technology to secure its logistics systems. This integration aims to mitigate risk and secure logistical information from cyber threats. And we know there's a lot of those going around. So many banks have been hacked as of recent. Insurance companies hacked, hospital systems, medical systems, have been hacked. So this is something that's major, that's pushing them to rapidly advance the development and testing of these systems. Once again, I firmly believe that in the future time, a lot of these bank coins will be given governmental contracts, military contracts, but we shall see. The approach involves using blockchain and directed acyclic graph (DAG) transactions to enhance the security of data and transactions within the logistics framework. These initiatives reflect a growing interest in leveraging distributed ledger technology to address logistical challenges and enhance security within the U.S. military. Now, who are the most respected that have proven themselves amongst the bank coins, by working with banks and working with insurance companies, working with governments, sitting on governmental panels, working with large non-banking financial institutions or banking groups? That's very easy to say. Like, Ripple's at the forefront there. Chainlink is there. Working with Swift, you have to put Chainlink up there. Quant is up there. So the possibility is very high of them working with, further working with governments. Some of them are already working with governments. We just saw that with Ripple in Thailand, and we're talking global. We want to maintain that global reach. That's where the value is, in my humble opinion. But I don't think it's a stretch that it goes a little bit deeper than that in the future, if it's not going that deep already. A lot of these projects they're working on, they wouldn't be able to talk about until they're ready to deploy. But now, so we have that, right? So then I spent all this morning reading information like this. So then we have information like this. I'm just going to read this headline here. But this article is titled, U.S. Senate recommends use of blockchain, right? Wait, let me actually click through on this. Bear with me one moment, please. Hope you're all doing well out there. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you. If you do click the like button, I appreciate it. And if you leave a comment, I appreciate it. All right. So now it says U.S. Senate recommends use of blockchain to enhance national security. So the U.S. Senate Committee on Armed Services has recommended that the Department of Defense, so this is more DoD connection here, explore blockchain technology to potentially revolutionize national security. Now, wait, let me get the date on this. I want to just show you. Listen, so the DoD, here's how crazy this is. The DoD has been researching and in development of certain things, testing it really for quite some time. This article came out on July the 10th. So what are they saying? This is coming from the Senate, right? So what are they saying? They're really telling them, hurry up. They're already, active in research and development of certain things. All this could mean, if this is coming out July the 10th, that's recent, is, hey, hurry it up. We need to get this stuff off the ground. This is a huge push. You're seeing part of the huge push for the new financial system. Or the new system as a whole. I always said that. The new financial system is just one aspect of the new system as a whole. But that's what we're seeing here. But let me read this little tidbit here a little bit more. The U.S. Senate Committee on Armed Services has recommended that the Department of Defense explore blockchain technology to potentially revolutionize national security. That's huge. This directive signifies, and who knows who's going to get chosen. I'm just saying that there's a possibility. Sure. If you have clarity like Ripple and you have good governmental connections already, once again, Ripple being a part of the Faster Payments Task Force and as well as the Faster Payments Council. Those are two governmental panels, or whatever you want to call those. Those were set up by governmental agencies. So if you've been on that for years now and they've been satisfied, that means you have a good relationship with them, right? It says this directive signifies a notable change in the government strategy towards the new technology. No, it doesn't. See, people go by what's apparent. I don't. So on the surface, the governments use a lot of the techniques that some of the people today use. Like, for example, you had a lot of people, and they do this right now. They said before, I don't like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is trash. Bitcoin is bad. Only to come out later and say they were acquiring Bitcoin. They try to turn you away so they can acquire this for their own reasons and purposes. They do the same thing with XRP now. XRP is bad. Get out of XRP. Guarantee you they're buying XRP. When you're selling, they're buying only for, typically the more popular people will come out and they'll be honest. Like that one dude from Shark Tank. As an example, there was a few people who have come out and said they were buying Bitcoin when they actually trashed Bitcoin simultaneously. But they unveiled the truth. But most people won't do that. But this is a technique that's used widely. Guarantee they're telling you get out of XRP and they're buying XRP. And they'll benefit from it when it rises once again, because they know that a lot of people will come back to make capital off of it later on when the time is right. But I'm just using that as an example. The governments do the same thing. They say, no, we don't want a CBDC system. We don't want we don't want to use DLT. Meanwhile, they've been developing it this whole time. So it's not a change from what is really going on. It's just that the apparent, the superficial, the lie is going away. And now we're beginning to see the truth. They've been developing it this entire time. So anyway, now continuing on. It says this directive signifies a notable change in the government's strategy towards new technology, which now focuses on investigating innovative solutions for supply chain management and other essential defense applications. I mean, they've always done this. I mean, Lockheed Martin is always developing something new for planes or something else. They looked into AI a long time ago. You know, when it comes to, it depends on which part of the government, but when you get to military, they're always at the forefront of everything. They just, obviously, they're not going to tell you about it. The committee's recommendation detailed in the fiscal year 2025 National Defense Authorization Act NDAA report released July the 9th, 2024, explicitly instructs Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin to investigate and test potential blockchain applications within the DoD. Now, I think what they're doing is they're starting to narrow certain technologies down. I mean, the application of these technologies are all different. Even though some people, they believe they're all the same, they're not, right? Some of them have a Byzantine system. Some of them, like Hashgraph, for example, is Hashgraph. That's not blockchain. Although a lot of people lump Hedera in with blockchain, right? So they're starting to narrow down, I believe, what they want to use. That's what this is all about. And they're telling them, hurry up. This initiative reflects a growing recognition. See, growing. So once again, this is advancing rapidly. A growing recognition of blockchain's potential to enhance the integrity and security of defense operations. Why now? Why now at a time where clearly they're taking it? It's now at a time where clearly they're taking over. All of the companies, United States is a company. A company is run by companies. The companies are the ones who control the politicians. They control the military as well. They control the private groups that are private military groups as well, because that money flows everywhere, whether people like it or not. This place is run by the companies. So now that the companies have taken over, or they're taking over, they're rapidly becoming a dominant force. You saw BlackRock the other day. Now they have, I think this is what they reported, they have more Bitcoin than Grayscale now. So the takeover is almost complete. And they're saying, listen, now is the time. We can start talking about this. There's nothing that the regular people can do. We got them out of there and we got ourselves in. I think that's what's going on. You could disagree, so be it. All right. So now, the Senate committee's vision extends beyond mere experimentation. Listen to what they're telling the people. DLT technology, utility coins. Utility. They're looking at the utility. Who's at the forefront of utility? This is coming from Blockchain Technology News. Obviously, they're taking this from the documents they referenced, right? Listen to what they're telling the people. Will they hear this? The Senate committee's vision extends beyond mere experimentation. The time is almost here. They call for a comprehensive exploration of how blockchain can be leveraged, quote, to achieve national security goals and to create secure, transparent, accountable, and auditable. I told you they want those audits done. And so that money doesn't disappear. Like, for example, I referenced the Pentagon before. With the Pentagon, there's tons of money that goes missing. Some people don't want that. There's entities within the governmental systems that don't want that money disappearing. They want their hands on that money so they can reallocate it and use it the way that they want to, even if the way that they use it might be corrupt. But they want to know where it's going. So they want to use this technology for traceability and auditable data. You think that the Pentagon fails multiple audits and that nothing's going to be done about it? You think that there's not individuals that are above those entities at the Pentagon? There are. But let's keep going. And auditable data related to supply chains, unquote. This approach signals a forward-thinking stance. Why now? Why now? Right. That could position the United States at the forefront of technological innovation in defense. And yet, certain governmental representatives will have you believe that they have no interest in DLT technology at all. Right. Now, one thing that they do speak about in these articles that I'm reading from is their concern for walled gardens. That's another way to say, talk about fragmentation. That's another way to say siloing, right? They use all these different words. I got these words from them. They just keep changing the language. You know what happens when they continuously change the language? It keeps the people in the dark. It keeps the people confused. The people don't typically have time to keep up with all this verbiage. They don't. They have to go to work. They have their children to worry about. Somebody in their family they have to take care of. They have to take care of themselves. They're going to the gym. They're watching some programs. They don't have time to keep up with all this verbiage. They don't have time to read all these documents. They know this. This is why they bury a lot of these documents a lot of times. So they put the wrong date on it. Instead of putting 2018, they'll put 3018. 3018, so that, it's hard for you to find this if you look something up. You're trying to find something for 2018. Nope, can't do it. It's on. They put 3018. There's a reason for that. There's a reason. Listen, the store of value stuff is cool. Sure, when it truly becomes store of value. But the utility stuff is where it's at for the future, for those who will be there in the future. They're not kidding around when they talk about new 1%. That's the possibility. I can't guarantee it for you. Not financial advice. I can't guarantee it for you. I'm not a part of their systems. I don't know these individuals or companies, but I recognize what is there. Just like I told the people. Remember, I told you the job numbers were lying. I told the people this. It's funny because those videos get the least likes possible. The people definitely make me feel it. 100%. I said, they don't like when I say things like that. But what came out recently, folks? They came out and said, hey, actually, our numbers were 30% higher than what the real numbers were. So they lied. I said that they were lying, didn't I? The whole year I've been saying they're lying. They're manipulating the numbers, that the numbers tell you the story of who controls the numbers. And once again, they verified what I said was true. The numbers were worse than what they said by what was it? They said by 30%. That's pretty significant. You think they didn't do that on purpose to make things look better than what they were? You see, listen, I do my absolute best to utilize my deductive reasoning skills. It's something I've been very good at my entire life. Even when I got into the intellectually gifted program as a young child, that's one of the main things I excelled at, deductive reasoning, figuring out puzzles and things like that. All right. And in my quest to do my absolute best to honor my father, I'm going to give you the raw truth. Sometimes people don't like it. I'm going to give you what, in my mind, is the raw truth. And sometimes people are going to agree with that. Sometimes they don't. That's okay. But what I can say is I told you absolutely what I really feel and think. And I can sleep well at night with that. But we were right again. So continuing on here, why is the U.S. exploring blockchain for national security? You think they had Ripple on those task force for nothing? The announcement came as the global blockchain adoption landscape continues to mature. The U.S. government's proactive position comes as other nations, including those that could one day be adversaries, are making advances in this area. They're going to focus your mind on all this battle stuff and, they might be adversaries, etc. But what really is going on, they're going to need systems that can interface or can communicate with, that can connect to the new financial system so that the West, let's say United States, can continue to transact with China. China can continue to do business with United States. They pretty much own each other. Facts. There's so much business that people in the United States have in China, and China owns a lot of the farmland in the United States. They owned a lot of the commercial real estate, but they sold that off. They have a lot of that. There's so much crossover. Like I said, they can't get around this. So now that there's so much fragmentation, they have to figure out a way to bring it all together. That's all facts. And they all need the new financial system because the old system is breaking down right before everyone's eyes. Facts. Every day I could literally come out with a video about, the things that are going wrong with the system, but people don't seem to like the truth. If the truth seems a little negative, but it's not negative for us, it's negative for them. But people don't like those titles, But with the legacy system burning to the ground, they have to have something to replace it. They do. And let me tell you, Bitcoin, I plan to make a good amount of money off of Bitcoin. I plan to make a good amount of money off of that. But is it the future? No. It's not the future. I feel this way strongly. They're talking about utility. If you see how much the companies and the people have loved Bitcoin, they'll love all the utility coins once everything is up and running. They'll love that more. So then I went to the Department of Homeland Security's website. I just wanted to see their thoughts on DLT technologies and blockchain. This is what they have to say. This is directly from DHS.gov. It says from the Department of Homeland Security's perspective, the technologies hold the potential for enhanced transparency and auditing of public service operations, greater supply chain visibility. There goes that traceability again. There's been a lot of problems there. That's why they keep saying this. To combat the distribution of counterfeit products and automation of paper-based processes to improve delivery of services to organizations and citizens. Examples include ensuring the authenticity and integrity of videos and photos from cameras, sensors, and Internet of Things devices. That's interesting. And enhancing and facilitating international trade. Told you, they have to have this. Who's the best when it comes to international anything? Global, true global reach, neutral global reach. It's the bank coins. All legacy system actors are beholden, what legacy system actors in the U.S. are beholden to the U.S. The new financial system actors like Ripple or Stellar as well, although Stellar has gotten extremely close to the U.S. government. You want to be real. But they are neutral. They have true global reach. All right. So they're the best of the best when it comes to that. Near instantaneous everything. All right. So it says, and customs processes, or maybe you can correct me on that. So be it. If you do, then it's good information for the people to have. Facilitating and securing passenger processing and mitigating forgery and counterfeiting of official licenses and certificates. As such, DHS work in blockchain and DLT is focused on enabling support for an interoperable baseline of security and privacy across implementations by use of open and global standards. So the DHS is bullish on DLT. Utility. Right. Let's go here. All right. So then we have this also, right? All of this happening around the same time. Why? The other one was like July the 9th or something like that. Then you have, this came out on July the 30th. They're pushing. Why are they pushing now? Why is all the rush all of a sudden? These are good questions. July the 30th, this article is titled, Representative Nancy Mace introduces a bill to modernize the VA with blockchain technology. I didn't hear about this, but then I can't see everything. Did you hear about this? Look at this. They want the DLT technologies involved in everything. Was it a plan to get Ripple in the clear early? Knowing that once Ripple got in the clear, the SEC probably wouldn't be able to appeal because it's election season. And everybody all of a sudden, because of election season, loves crypto. Was it a plan? Now Ripple's in the clear. What will they do in the next year or two? It says here today, Congresswoman Nancy Mace. I've never heard of this person before. I don't know what they're about. I just want to see what they're doing. OK, Nancy Mace introduced the, quote, Veterans Affairs Distributed Ledger Innovation Act of 2024, unquote. The legislation directs the Department of Veteran Affairs to study the power of distributed ledger technology. All of a sudden, everybody loves DLT, huh? In the government, all of a sudden. Now there's this rush, right? Otherwise known as blockchain, to revolutionize how veterans receive their benefits and services. While you're at it, won't you give them more benefits and services? Why don't you give them a little bit more, but whatever. All right. Quote, our veterans deserve nothing less than the best, unquote, said Congresswoman Nancy Mace. I agree with that. Give them more. Quote, we need to bring the federal government into the 21st century. This bill will open the door to research on improving outdated systems that fail our veterans because we owe it to them to use every tool at our disposal to improve their lives, unquote. Now, when I read that, I look at this part here. This legislation directs this bill will open the door to research on improving research. What are they researching? They've been researching DLT systems for years. What they're doing now is trying to whittle down what companies they want to use. That's what it tells me. That's what the research is. The infrastructures are already there. The systems are already there. It's like, which one do we want to deploy? Which one do we want to use? That's the research I think that they're doing right now. That's all they have to do. And everything's being streamlined by companies like Ripple and Stellar to be able to be deployed easily and quickly. I have more of these documents, but let me get this Bitcoin news in here, okay? It sort of balances things out. So this article here is titled Bitcoin Bulls Run Risk of Bart Simpson, quote unquote. BTC price dip to $62,000. Let's find out what they're talking about here. Bitcoin holds its latest advances over the weekend, but there are plenty of arguments calling for a snap BTC price retracement. It says data from Cointelegraph, Markets Pro, and TradingView showed a flat weekend for BTC/USD after rapid gains at the end of the previous Wall Street trading session. These followed promising signals from the United States Federal Reserve regarding policy easing in September, specifically the first interest rate cuts since 2019. Bitcoin was initially slow to react, but ultimately hit 2-week highs of nearly $65,000 before consolidating lower. Analyzing the potential moves for the coming days, however, popular trader Crip Nuevo was cautious. Order book liquidity, he determined in a thread on X, favored a drop to support, which would liquidate late longs. Quote, the levels with more liquidations are 63.5K and 62.2K, unquote, he summarized, referring to the 50-period exponential moving average on the 1-hour chart. BTC/USD could thus print a classic, quote, Bart Simpson, unquote, pattern, heading back to the 50-period EMAs on 1 hour and 4 hour time frames. All right. So Now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.